And welcome to another live here at the Virtual Freshers Fair at Dundee and Angus College this week. So I'm back again, you'll be pleased to see, or maybe not. And we've got Mark with us. Mark Fisher is from Penumbria, which is one of our partner agencies that we work with as well, one of our external partners. And I'm going to deliberately not say too much about Penumbria. Well, that's a really cool name, so maybe Mark will tell us what that actually means, and also a bit about himself as well. So without further ado, over to Mark, who's going to give us an introduction about himself and Penumbria.
Hi there, Jason. Yeah, my name is Mark. I work for Penumbria. I'm not going to give the explanation because it's too long and winded as to what it means, but it's basically something to do. The word Penumbria is something to do with shade, light and shade, coming out the shade. So I think it's in relative to mental health and how a lot of people see mental health. But yeah, my name is Mark, as I say. I work specifically for the self-harm service, which is based in Dundee. A relatively new service was started mid-pandemic, which was quite difficult, obviously with a lack of face-to-face meetings and what have you. But we went to offer like that service remotely and out with Dundee, basically to anybody in Scotland that wanted to access the service. As I say, specifically dealing with self-harm and everything that comes with self-harm. I'll explain a little bit more about what the service is, but we basically do over 15 sessions. It's a one-to-one service. I myself am a peer worker, which basically means I've got lived experience of mental health challenges. A history going back to childhood that forced me in certain situations to use self-harm as a coping mechanism. And the idea for me was to actually try and work with an organisation that I could use my lived experience to kind of help people.
That's really interesting, Mark. When we've spoken quite a lot actually off camera. You're a fascinating guy, and it's quite interesting as well that our paths have crossed before as well. We might come on to that in this chat as well because we've both got interesting backgrounds and how we've come across each other. And we now both work in the world of wellbeing and mental health. There's no coincidence. But can I just pick into something there a little bit? And it's because of a conversation we've had previously, and it's the term self-harm. And, you know, I think we all kind of think we know what self-harm is, as in, you know, the traditional methods of self-harming. But I was really fascinated and kind of blown away by some of the stuff that comes under self-harm that I didn't realise. Would you mind just explaining what self-harm is?
Yeah, I think you're right. Even myself, with the connotations over the year, you have a certain understanding of what self-harm is. And I think we all think cutting and burning, and that's quite high up on what people will use as a coping strategy. Mm-hmm. But the term self-harm is really anything anybody does that's detrimental to themselves.
Yeah.
You know, my experience of self-harm, you know, whilst I tried cutting and burning in the past, and I got to a point where my levels of anxiety were not as much that they would allow me to follow through. In actual fact, it was just too sore. I couldn't cope with it.
Yeah.
Which actually shows that those who do, the level of anxiety must be so much so that they can go through that level of pain. But no, mine was more, self-loathing. I would use food. I would starve myself. Didn't think I would particularly deserve to function or use the bare minimum to function.
Yeah.
Actually be able to enjoy life. It could putting yourself in risky situations, risky sexual behaviour. Not valuing yourself enough that actually what you're doing means anything because of perhaps past childhood experiences. You think you don't deserve it. So you'll put yourself in situations where the consequences could be catastrophic, but the individual will feel that's what they deserve.
That's the stuff I found.
Self-worth. But there's some tattooing was one that actually blew my mind. I never ever thought.
Tattoo? Are you saying tattooing, like tattoos?
I said tattooing. Yeah. Obviously, it's not the case for anybody who gets tattoos, but one of the big things with self-harm is people think that in a lot of cases that it's a cry for help and people will cut themselves and put their arms on show, when in actual fact, really that's not the case. People that self-harm want to do it and keep it to themselves. And tattooing, it was one particular supportive person that spoke about the fact that the stats, they didn't want to have anything on show. They didn't want to advertise the fact of self-harm, and they couldn't think of a way that would do it. But the pain through tattooing for them in that instance
quite
was
mind
enough, and
blower,
it was
that one,
socially
man.
acceptable.
Yeah, that blew my mind when you told me that before. That's exactly what I was getting at. And like the other one, self-loathing, like as a form of self-harm, yeah, spot on, it is. It absolutely is. But it certainly isn't something that I would have automatically thought about when it comes to like self-harm, when you think about like, you know, cutting and burning and all these types of things. So yeah, I mean, it's exactly that, because what is it doing? It's like you're harming yourself, aren't you, by having these thoughts, by having this, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve that. And that's linked to, like you were saying, your lived experience of, you know, from childhood, that you don't think you deserve to be well and good and free and whatever. So you do things that pull you down.
Absolutely. It's the basic functions in life. We all need to look after ourselves, and there will be periods where, you know, I think we all self-harm in some form of like.
Now we know that definition, yeah. Now we know the definition, yeah. But before I might have been like, no, I don't self-harm. But now, yeah, I think
it is, and it's different levels, and it's, you know, you individuals, we're all different, and that's one of the good things about our service. I think it's person-centered. I think we recognise that everybody's different, and everybody's level of tolerance to anything is different. You know, what might have a catastrophic effect on one person might be absolutely minimalistic to another, and how they deal with that will be completely different from the other one. So, you know, we sit down on a one-to-one basis. It's over the 15 sessions, and perhaps more, perhaps less. Some people just need that short intervention in time, but it's understanding the person. It's understanding what works for them. It's not about me suddenly saying, well, that happened to me, so you should do this. But my experience gives me a certain level of common ground, empathy, a wee bit of kudos for the person.
Yeah.
I've used services and sat in front of them, and I've used them for 25 years. And there's no many people I've sat in front of that I've thought, you get what I'm talking about.
Aye, the relatability factor, that's it, you know. And you know, you seem like to point to me, Mark, leaves your heart in your sleeve. You know, you don't leave anything unsaid, and you're quite happy speaking about it. And I find that a really endearing quality, actually. You're very easy to relate to. So I can see how, you know, your clients can relate to that as well.
I think that's it. That's one of the things. And we, people, not just me, you know, my colleagues are similar, you know, lived experience of things. But, you know, I think one of the good things for my mental health is to be able to kind of, I've done some things in my life that you think, oh, there's no coming back from that. You know, I've had to reinvent myself over time. But it's about using those experiences to hopefully shy others away from kind of certain decisions in life, and maybe making them understand that, you know, this isn't just you, this is the unique to you. Let's talk about it. Let's look at it.
A shared problem, isn't it? It's that whole thing, like this isn't your problem. This is something that a lot of other people experience as well.
Absolutely, yeah, totally.
Makes it less lonely. So that's a great introduction. Really good insight into what it is that, you know, yourself and Penumbria do. Could take it away from that a little second, because obviously people want to know you. So the best way to do that is to ask some of these would you rather questions, or you've got to pick a side questions. So let's go and divide the room straight away. All right. Are you an action film guy, or are you a horror film guy?
Yeah, I'd probably have to say action.
Action. Okay. Favorite action movie then?
Favorite action. Well, you know what? It would have been Top Gun without any shadow.
That's your favorite film. That's
Tom Cruise is ruined it for me. Let's say Top Gun.
Top Gun, right? Okay, so for those students who have no idea what we're talking about, I think we're going to do a remake at some point, and
I think they're remaking it now.
I think Tom Cruise is involved, isn't he? Well, obviously. So Top Gun, okay. And are you a chocolate guy or a crisp guy? Savoury or sweet?
Savoury all day long.
Yeah, I've got to relate to that one as well. What's your favourite savoury snack then?
Yeah, crisps.
Crisps.
The thing nowadays as well is the bag size. You know, they've dropped down to 25 grams. So
it's like a
one bag, two bags of crisps are acceptable at a time.
Yeah. So you get Do you now get about 12 squares in a packet? Is that right?
It's something like that. I was hungry last night and I come downstairs and got a packet of, there are other brands available, but McCoy's. And I went up the stairs and I was watching someone in my bed and I was no sooner in my bed than they were finished. So,
Back
so if
down.
nothing else, I burned off more energy coming down the stairs for the 25-gram bag of crisps.
There you go. I mean, you do get grab bags, so they would save you the hassle right enough. Or just take 2 up next time. And here's a good one for you as well. So, if you could have any superpower in the world that exists that you can think of, what superpower would you want and why?
I think I'd want invisibility.
Okay.
And it sounds that this is really old manish and getting really boring, but I would love to be in the room, invisible, where the decisions are made at the top. You know, the decisions that run the country and make a difference.
Oh, right, yeah. Fly the wall.
Education. I would want to know what was actually said in those rooms before it was regurgitated out to something else.
Be fascinating.
The things that make a difference to our life. How much rubbish are they telling us? And for a lot of other reasons, invisibility would be good as well, but probably not for now.
That's a good one. Yeah, we'll leave it on that one there. That's brilliant, mate. So, with if our students want to access these services, then Mark, how would they do it?
Pretty straightforward. I mean, for us, we have no waiting list at the moment when it comes to referrals. So people can self-refer in. People could refer in through partners, whether it's other organisations. They could directly refer in to us. Referring, the best way to do it is via email. You can just send a general inquiry, and then we'll send out an application form, which again is just one kind of step. We try not to make anything laborious at the start, but it's basically the email address is selfharm.dundee@penumbra.org.uk.
Right.
That's the simplest way to get in. And then again, we aim to get back to people within 72 hours, have a general chat with them, and then basically take it from there. They could find more about us on the website, which is obviously www.penumbra.co.uk, and we can find out information there. But generally, for anybody that wants to access the service, even just information, the best way to do it is through that email address.
That's brilliant. That email address will be written at the bottom of this video in the comments section for anybody that's watching at home. Try to frantically scribble that down. Don't worry, it'll be at the bottom. So the email address and then the website. Do you have any social media tags or anything?
Yeah, we are. We're on both Facebook and Twitter. The tags I'll put up later as well.
Great.
And it's across different services as well. But yeah, quite active on Facebook and Twitter at the moment.
I mean, I'm aware that, you, as an organisation, you guys do quite a lot, but today we're focusing on the self-harm element.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. We'll have different services that could be accessed again. We'll have a Nova service out of Dundee again, which is basically all about social inclusion.
Yeah.
So again, students that are looking for a bit more support outside a college and in general life, that could be accessed as well. And we'll have our carer service as well. We do things like group work across a number of different subjects. One that could be resilience, but again, all that information can be found on the website. That's
perfect. Yeah, I just wanted the guys to appreciate, there's more than just a self-harm element of what you do, but we've decided in this short interview today that was the key focus in terms of for our students. Now, thinking back a couple of years ago, Mark, to when you might have been a student yourself, you did study, didn't you?
I did. I was there. I was where you are. 2010, 2011. Done an access course for criminology.
Ah, great. So let's cast your mind back to there then. And 11 years ago. And flown by. And what advice would you give to a new student coming to this college right now? What bit of advice would you give them?
I would basically grasp the opportunity. I even 10, 11 years ago, as frightening as it sounds, I was a mature student even then. So it shows how old I am. But I think, again, speak to your... for me, it was more about learning and accessing the expertise that's out there. I met some fascinating lecturers that were there that had been there quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of great people that worked there. And I think I learned more just from learning from them. Use the college in its entirety.
Yeah.
Use support services. Everything that is all geared up for you. And I think when I went there, we went there and thought, I'll do this my own way. But it's so vast. There's so much support there, and basically accessing it and embrace it.
Yeah. That's it. It's great advice, because like your time is short at uni or college or as a student. It might seem at the time that it is really stressful and things, but you will have to enjoy it, because it's there for, like, I mean, I spoke to this about when we had Scott Member on earlier this morning. I was chatting with Scott, and it was like, the time there is short, and you could just be sitting at home doing a distance learning degree.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference between that and being on campus is what you've said, all the people that are available to you, all the services that are available to you, all the bits that join in between your classes that make it that student experience. It becomes an experience rather than just I go to college, I go home. Don't make it that, make it, what's what you say, make it more than that.
It totally can, if you embrace it, it can broaden your horizons. You can, even if you're going into do specific subjects that, especially nowadays, and even then when I was there, it's vast, all the different areas that you're involved in, and even within local parts of the community, you really, if you embrace it, you can find yourself going in a completely different direction. But
that's really, really key as well. And it's funny, because that's exactly the way the last interview went also, Mark, is like, what you studied at college is now got nothing to do with, well, not nothing to do, but it's not related to now what you work as 10 years later. I'm the same.
And that's it. And again, looking back, if I even think back, okay, we're speaking about mental health and stuff, but some of the people, even the characters that we've met, but we've got a different understanding of different people from different backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
We're much more inclusive as a society now, but just the general life experience and connections you'll make there, whether it takes you in the career you think you were going to go, but it really will make you as a person.
Yeah, that's it. Just find out who you are and just kind of embrace it, and allow people to help you along in your journey, because that's what we're here for,
As is the Students' Union.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, isn't it? That's exactly it. So yeah, you've got learner engagement, you've got student association, you've got student union, student services. All these have got a clue in the title. They all say student. Yeah. So without the students, we wouldn't have a job.
No,
that's it's all about the students. It's all about them, and it's all about their experience. Because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them.
No, that's it. But yeah, great times. I think back, I thought, even as a mature student, and that was one of the regrets. I didn't do it as a youngster, and I think that was the only regret. Seeing it through the eyes of a 30-something then, thinking, I wish I'd done this when I was younger. What an opportunity, what an experience it would be. So yeah, as I say, just absolutely embrace everything about the campus, everything about it.
Brilliant, Mark. That's come to the end there. I did say it'd be short and sweet today. There was never any need to be nervous, because it flies by, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Done.
But we'll have you back on at some point, because I do want to pick in a little bit more into some of the services, and do a little bit more. So Mark will be coming back. He'll be glad to hear on your screen at some point. But in the meantime, we've got the details be at the bottom of this video in terms of how to get in contact with Mark and Penumbra. In the meantime, also you've got the web address there as well, so you can look at the range of services that are on offer. And now the world is starting to get a bit more back to normal and things, and we should be able to do more face-to-face. I'd like to see you kind of on the campus as well, if you're available at some point, to do that and get involved that way too. But for now, thanks so much for coming on as part of our virtual Freshers Week, as we're nearing the second last day. Yeah, be a quick week. And
thanks for having me. And I wish everybody good luck. I hope everything goes well for everyone.
Thank you very much, Mark. Take care now. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.